Okay, everyone. Great stuff. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this Development Standards Committee meeting on Tuesday, the 15th November. Sarah, do we have any apologies for absence?
Yes, convener, an apology from Councillor Clark.
On the items on the agenda, do any members have any declarations of interest they wish to notify? Councillor Gall.
Thanks, convener. Items 6 and 7 are applications regarding myself, so I'll come out of the meeting as soon as that's done.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Expecting that. Is there any others from any other members? Councillor Brace.
Yes, thanks, convener. Not a declaration of interest, but a statement of transparency. I have known the Gall family all my life, but it's not any kind of relationship that would cause a member of the public to think I might act less than objectively and unbiased fashion. So there's no financial interest at all in it, and I will stay in the meeting and vote if required.
Thank you, Councillor Brace. That's excellent. Okay, if there's no other declaration of interest, just agenda item 3 and 4, 3 on building warrants. This committee is asked to note during the period 8th October to the 4th November of this year, a total of 31 building warrants, 1 late warrant and 10 amendments to warrants have been approved with an estimated cost of £2,139,313. Is that noted?
Noted.
Thank you. And
Noted.
Agenda item 4, the committee is asked to note that during the period 8th October to 4th November 2022, 52 planning applications have been approved and 8 refused under the scheme of delegation to officers. So again, everybody's been given a copy of that. Is that noted as well?
Noted. Noted.
Agenda item 5 is the minutes of the last meeting of the 18th of October. Has anyone any comments on that, or can we agree these as read? They agreed?
Agreed.
Good. Okay, thank you. Well, I think Councillor Gall, if you want to leave the meeting now. Good. Good. Okay, thank you very much. So, Mr. Hunter, over to you for this agenda item number 6 on Glenskinnell Farm in Montrose.
Convener, items 6 and 7 both relate to property at Glenskinnell Farm, Montrose. So we have one presentation that deals with both applications, but as ever, the decision should be made separately. First planning application relates to an application submitted in 2020 for the conversion of part of a steading building to a domestic property. Second application from earlier this year relates to an application to use another part of the same steading building for the installation of biomass boiler and the associated works along with that. Moving on, we see the general location of Glenskinnell Farm just in the centre of the screen here. So roughly 2 kilometres to the west of Hillside Village. Hillside located just at the right-hand side of the screen, and Montrose down to the bottom right-hand side. Again, around about 3 kilometres. Closest public road, you see just in orange, again, just identified by the cursor. So a reasonably remote property. In a little bit more detail, an aerial image, the red circle identifies the application property itself, existing steading building. Southern part, identified by the cursor here, is the location of the application for conversion to house, and the northern section relates to the application for the biomass. Farmhouse itself associated with the property in the same ownership located to the southeast. Another residential property, again I understand in the same ownership, located to the southwest, and a third party property located to the north, maybe roughly 30 to 40 metres from the biomass plant itself. You can see range of properties in the vicinity, number of residential properties, and the main agricultural complex also involved in biomass production located to the east of the site. So we have the drawings of the conversion to the house. You can see the application site, the land associated with the conversion of the building. Southern part of the building converted to provide a single bedroom unit. Now, members will be aware our policies in the local development plan are supportive of the principle of converting traditional buildings to residential accommodation. Only issue in relation to this proposal relates to the presence of biomass boiler and associated infrastructure in the building to the north. The presence of that became apparent when the application was submitted. So in broad terms, conversion of the building is acceptable. Only issue really relates to the presence of the biomass. We look at the second application. So we have the house down in the southern part, the biomass plant and equipment located in the northern part. Extension to the building to accommodate feedstock for the boiler located here. And we have a flue projecting from the eastern elevation of the roof identified here. At present, that flue is about 5.6 metres high, and air quality work that's been done through the consideration of the application has identified that the flue needs to be increased to 8 metres in height in order to comply with relevant air quality standards. Just looking at the building itself, this is looking from the north. So this is the section that accommodates the biomass equipment, and the southern section that we see here is a section that has now been converted to the dwelling house. So you can see from this slide, the application for the house, the works have been undertaken. So the application is now seeking retrospective permission. Essentially what it's doing is utilising existing openings for windows, as you can see here, and that's replicated on the east-facing elevation itself. So that the very general, the form, the mass, the structure of the building is largely unchanged, and in broad terms, the principle is acceptable. Moving around to the east elevation, this is the extension that's been constructed onto the steading to facilitate the feedstock for the boiler. And you can see the existing flue located in the east-facing roof plane. This is the flue that's required to increase in height to 8 metres. But again, in the context of an agricultural environment, the extension, the flue, perfectly acceptable in the context of the overall farm complex, the working farm complex. But you will see there are conditions that indicate the property shouldn't be occupied until the flue height has been increased. And similarly, we have conditions that seek to ensure there's no adverse impact on bats, potentially bats present within the roof structure of the steading building, and we have conditions to remove future permitted development rights to ensure there is no adverse impact. Also, in relation to the application for the house, you'll see there's a condition that ties occupation of the property to someone that's involved in the operation of the biomass facility itself. Loading the stockpile room that we see here would involve taking access to the garden ground of the domestic property, and also emissions from the stack are such that the house provides an acceptable residential environment, but it's considered appropriate for that to be tied to someone that's directly involved in the operation of the biomass facility itself. But in overall terms, the proposals, both applications comply with development plan policy, subject to the conditions before you. Thank you, Convener.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hunter. We'll get questions for you in a second. Just before we do go to potential questions of the officer, I'm just going to say here that I do realise this is a retrospective, or both of these are retrospective planning applications. I'm willing to allow a brief comment on that by any members who wish to. However, just to remind everybody on committee, we are here to actually judge the application, not the methodology of how it's come here. So first of all, can we have, I have one question. First of all, I'll start off, if you don't mind, Mr. Hunter. On the flue, I hear it's to go to 8 metres. What is the actual height currently of the flue that's there?
So at present, the height is around about 5.6 metres, so 2.4 metre increase in height.
Still to be added. Okay. Is there any questions of Mr. Hunter from members on this one? Councillor Dorn?
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to ask a little bit more about the conditions around the disturbance of the bats that may have been noted in the roof space. So just to confirm, is it that there's no work that can be done in that roof space to avoid any disturbance? I just want to be clear about what the conditions are around that. Sure.
So we have conditions proposed in relation to both applications that seek to remove permitted development rights. So there are certain works that could be undertaken without planning permission, and we're saying there should be no works to the roof without the submission of a further planning application. And at that time, that would allow full consideration of any potential impact on bats, and it would allow consideration of the requirement for a protected European protected species licence.
Are you happy with that, Heather? Yeah. Is there any other questions from members? Okay. We have no speakers on this one. Do any elected members have comments on the application? No? Okay. In that case, we're moving this for both agenda item 6 and agenda item 7 for approval. So there's no amendments to this. Then the report 377/22 and 378/22 are both approved. Okay.
Agreed.
Agreed. Thank you very much, Steve. Thank you. If we can move now to, there are 2 proposal application notices coming up. I think, Stephanie, are you dealing with these?
As convener, I'll present these today. Is Councillor Gall coming back into the meeting?
Oh, sorry. Well done. Thank you.
That's okay. I've just messaged if we could just hold on 1 second until
Sure.
we see him coming back in. Just try and call him, convener.
Okay. If Councillor Gall reappears, then we'll deal with that then. It's just, this is just really, yep.
Councillor Gall's just coming back in, convener.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you for that. Okay, Steph, we would like to move on with agenda item 8 then for the planning application notice at Suttyside Road.
Yeah, no problem. So there should have been a couple of these before members now. So this item 8 relates to a proposal of application notice, which in itself is not a planning application, but indicates that a major application for planning permission is intended to be submitted. And in this case, it's for a 31 megawatt solar farm with battery storage and associated infrastructure. the site is indicated here by the thicker red line, and as you can see, it's on land to the north of Suttyside Farm and just to the west of Lunan Head, with Forfar being this area on the bottom of the image. So the site relates to farmland, and it's located out with but contiguous with areas of the Forfar development boundary. And this slide here shows the Forfar's proposal map taken from the local development plan. The application site is located just to the north of that drawing in the top corner here, just north of the land allocation F10. Just for information, F10 relates to class 5 business, class 5 general industry and limited class 4 business uses. So that's what that site's safeguarded for. So slide 3 here, I apologise for the resolution of this. I know it's not brilliant, but it does give an indication of the ground context of the site. And as you can see, it's a farmland with a mix of fields and field boundaries. So the key current policies in terms of an application of this nature would be Day Plan Policy 7 and Policy PV9 of the local development plan. So these relate to renewable and low carbon energy developments. So the key considerations identified by officers have been listed in paragraph 4.5 of the report that's been issued to members. And in this case, the application for planning permission can't be submitted before the 16th of December. And consultation has been carried out and amended to comply with the legislative requirements of the PAN process. So I would just like members to identify members. Sorry, I'd just like to invite members to identify any additional issues that they'd like to see addressed as part of any subsequent future application.
Okay, Stephanie, thank you very much. Have members got any other issues they wish to raise that are not included in the conditions that are being recommended? Councillor Durnwell.
Just a quick question. The house that's on the map, that's on the left-hand side, how far is that actually from the site? It's quite hard to tell. Put the map.
So the house to the left.
Yeah. Well, to left. Oh, on my screen it's left. It looks like a kind of a farm or something.
Do you want to put the picture back up, Stephanie?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. I'll
Okay.
just share that again. Try and find you. Where are you? Share. So are we talking about this area here?
You have it on the green picture you had it a minute ago. You can see it better on that. No, the other one.
This one.
That, yeah.
This
See,
one.
yeah. If you just put your cursor further up, you see that building. On just keep the other way. Keep going up.
Sorry.
Right, and that's it. And then across to the left.
The
No.
left. This one. Yeah, here.
You see that? Yeah, that building there.
I don't have exact measurements for you just now, but if you hang on 2 seconds, I should be able
Is
to.
that actually a house or is it an old steading or do you know what?
It's not overly clear from the image, but if you hang on 2 seconds, I should be able to measure that distance for you. So it's roughly around 600 meters, and I think it is a grouping of farm buildings, but I do believe there are a couple of residential properties there. But again, if you bear with me, I will just double check. It doesn't want to come up.
Just to confirm, Steph, just from my recollection of driving past there, you were right, there is a couple of residential properties there, but it's primarily farm buildings.
Yeah. So just what Jill says, it's coming up on the mapping system with one address point and a number of farm buildings. But obviously, as part of any kind of subsequent application, we would look into that and consider the context of the site.
Yeah, and obviously the people that live in that have obviously had a notice about this application coming through.
Yeah, so the developer has suggested that they have contacted a number of properties in the area, and they haven't provided us with a list of who they have contacted. But as part of any subsequent application, they would be made aware of it through the adverts in the press. They might not be within the notifiable neighbour boundary, but again, like I said, there would be an advert in the press and it would be available in public access.
That's great. Thanks for all that information. That's great. Thank you. That's okay.
Yeah, I think the one thing on that one, you're right. When the actual planning application goes in, they'll probably hear locally about it anyway, and can actually submit a comment in the portal anyway.
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other comments or questions or for inclusion in this from anybody else? Okay, if not, I'll just take that as a record then. In that case, that is I'm just losing my place on this. Yeah, so that report's submitted then. We can move on to agenda item 9, the application notice for the land at Westfield Loan Forfar.
Yeah, so is that okay? So item 9 again is a proposal of application notice which intimates that an application is intended to be submitted for a major residential development incorporating 25% affordable homes, open space and landscaping. Again, the application site is outlined in red on this slide here, and as you can see, it's just to the kind of northwest of Dundee Road, which dissects the kind of left hand side of this drawing. So again, this is the Forfar proposals map extracted from the local plan. The application site is located in the southeast corner of this orange hatched area, which is the F4 land allocation. The wider land allocation is around about 38.8 hectares, and it's allocated for around 300 homes in the 2021 to 2026 period. And just for a bit of context, the green hatched area here, which is labelled as F12, that's the Balmushanner monument and surrounding areas, and F13, the kind of green block here, that's the Forfar Loch area. So this slide here shows a master plan for the wider F4 land allocation, and the kind of green-blue site is the Muir Homes development, which is currently subject to a planning application which is pending consideration. However, the application site that we're considering in this instance is indicated by the slate grey polygon area and identified as a Scotia Homes development on this plan. And the drawing on the right hand side of the slide is an indicative site layout for the application site that we're considering at this time. So just for information, the kind of northern extent of this indicative layout actually formed part of a previous plan which was put before members in February 2021 for around 125 units. So this slide here again shows the aerial imagery of the site, with the application site being kind of located in the corner here, just kind of the west of Dundee Road and the south of Westfield here. So as you can see, the site is primarily relates to farmland with a small number of field boundaries. And in this instance, the consultation was undertaken in accordance with legislation, and the applicant is advised that they've carried out a letter drop to most properties within around half a mile of the application site. And these are to be carried out prior to each in-person event. And in this case, no application can be submitted for a planning application relating to this until the 7th of January. So the key considerations identified by officers again are listed in paragraph 4.8 of this report, and members will note that this does include consideration for potential risk from anthrax burial, which was previously indicated. It's believed that this may be to the north of the current application site, but within the wider land allocation. So yes, I'd like to take the opportunity to invite members to identify any additional issues they wish to see addressed as part of this application.
Thanks, Stephanie. That's excellent. Thank you for full review of that. You mentioned a bit about the anthrax, which I remember coming up before, so I'm glad that's in the points being noted. Has any other members got anything they wish to add to the comments on this application? No. Okay, we'll open. Sorry, Councillor Nicholl, please go ahead.
Yes, it was on the report. It was stating about the archaeology on site. Do we know the extent of the archaeology, or do we just find it when we dig it up?
So there are kind of local archaeological areas identified on constraint layers that we have, and there's a small number of small areas in and around the site. But again, these are kind of small areas that kind of cross over into the application site boundary, but nothing extensive. But we would consult the archaeology service as part of any future application.
Follow-up comment rather than a question.
Of course you can, go ahead, yeah.
I also have great concerns about the anthrax buried, possibly not on this site, but on the site in general. Anthrax is the spores of anthrax is extremely dangerous and have been found living in lime pits some 70 years on. Research has shown using lime has been shown to protect rather than destroy the anthrax spores. So that's a concern I have. It's not against the planning, it's a concern about this dangerous anthrax spore. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Nicholl. I think, as I say, that will be covered in the points raised by council officers in the PAN, and for any future planning application. Has anybody else got anything else they want to add at the moment? No. Okay, thank you. In that case, that proposal application notice can go forward as well. It's a relatively brief meeting this morning. Thanks for everybody's attendance. There's nothing else on the agenda that concludes it. So I'll just say good morning and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks.
Thank you, convener.
Okay, goodbye.